Good Friday morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everyone in our class. It's a wonderful Friday indeed. The weather should be turning. No more snow. We'll be into spring. It's going to be a great next few weeks here in May, all the way to the end of the school year. So I'm excited to have you guys here on this Friday. Get things kick-started. Like we always do, let's get started with our morning reading here. And this reading here is going to be about the tiger. It's about the Sumatran tiger, the secrets of the Sumatran tiger. So you can see a tiger there right in the middle. It's written by Jacqueline Adams. Alrighty. So the search for the tiger begins. On the island of Sumatra, Dr. Ron Tilson's team of scientists pushed through the jungle. The bushes rustled and a wild pig ran across their path. A monkey darted up the tree. The scientists were searching for one of the world's most mysterious cats, the Sumatran tiger. The scientists did not know much about these endangered tigers. The team did know that Sumatran tigers are smaller than other tigers with dark fur and narrow stripes. Only a few hundred of them still live in the wild, but the shy tigers were good at hiding. In fact, only a few living people in the world have ever seen them in the wild. So you can see here, it would take patience to find the Sumatran tigers. Look at the thick, dense jungle that they're walking through to find a tiger. It's like hard work to me. Other kinds of tigers have once lived on nearby islands, but those big cats have disappeared. People had built and farmed the lands and animals needed. Long ago, people had also killed many tigers. Sumatran tigers had always lived in Sumatra. Dr. Tilson wanted to make sure that they didn't become extinct too. The team's goal was to learn about Sumatran tigers' need to survive in the wild. What do they eat? What type of habitat is their favorite? How much space do they need? Knowing the answers would help the scientists figure out how to protect the tigers. To find the tigers, the scientists set traps. Camera traps, that is. If a tiger walked past the camera would take its picture. Then scientists will be able to learn more about the tigers. At least that was the plan. So the tigers would not show themselves to humans, but Tilson's team hoped to take pictures of the tiger with hidden cameras. So you can see here, actually got a little barbed wire around it. It's like it's wrapped up into a cage. It's pretty well protected. Sometimes hunters use these. I don't know if anybody in your family is a hunter, but I know I've seen these around in woods and things, and they take pictures of the passing by animals. So where do Sumatran tigers live? Setting the camera traps. The team hiked for 6 hours into the jungle before they setting the camera traps. They knew that this was as far as they could go. They did not plan to camp in the jungle, and they knew it would take 6 hours to get back before sunset. For 3 months, the team set up the camera traps and checked them regularly. Each time they checked the traps, they found no photos of tigers. The team was puzzled. Why are there no signs of tigers? Dr. Tilson realized that the mysterious cats had lived further away than the scientists had hiked. To place traps further in the jungle, the team would have to camp several nights in tiger territory. So where exactly are they? Well, this is Australia, this is Africa, this is Asia, this is Europe. We're kind of over here on the other side of the world. Right there is the island of Sumatra, okay? And that's where these tigers are. This is the Wakambas National Park. Kind of right down here in that corner is where they're at. So you can see the green areas. And this diagram here is where the Sumatran tigers live. Dr. Tilson and his team set off on their camping trip. As soon as they pushed deep into the jungle, the tiger clues appeared. Paw prints dotted the trail, and growls rumbled in the distance. Yeah, I'm turning around if I hear that. A strong odor stung their noses. It was a scent of male tigers leaving to spray to mark their territories. Definitely bouncing if I smell that. Signs of tigers were everywhere, but the big cats remained out of sight. As darkness fell, the scientists stopped and set up camp. They used plastic on the ground to give themselves a dry place to sleep. As supper sizzled over a campfire, everyone wondered what the tigers were doing. Were they nearby, watching from the shadows? Yeah, that would creep me out. For 3 days, the team set up camera traps, and for 2 nights, they slept among the tigers. Then they hiked back out of the jungle. 2 weeks later, they went back to collect the cameras, hoping they'd finally see pictures of tigers. This time, the traps had captured photos of many animals, including the Sumatran tiger. The photos showed that some tigers had strolled past the cameras only minutes after the team had left. The tigers were curious about the cameras. Tigers, like many animals, use their sense of smell to recognize familiar things. The camera didn't smell like anything the tigers knew, so the tigers sprayed the cameras with their scent. Ooh, I'm guessing they peed on them? That's what that means? Ooh. A big surprise. The scientists were totally surprised when they saw pictures of another animal that the camera traps caught. Sumatran rhinos. No one had known that these rare rhinos had lived in this area. Scientists think that there are only about 200 Sumatran rhinos are left in the world. Now, he got a big armor plate on him because the tigers might get him. That's what I would need if I went there. Learning more about Sumatran tigers. Every 2 weeks, the team collected new photos. No two tigers are the same stripe patterns. Oh, like a thumbprint or an eye pattern. So the scientists learned about recognizing different tigers. Every time the same tiger showed up, the scientists marked on the map where the cameras had caught him or her. Over time, this told them the size of each tiger's home territory. Now they knew how much room Sumatran tigers need to live in the wild. They also learned what type of jungle areas the cats like best. This would help the people decide which areas of Sumatra should be protected as a regular habitat. Just as every human has a different fingerprint, every tiger has a different stripe and a pattern. I have also heard that true about zebras as well. Tiger prey, the wild pig. Tiger prey, the macaws. Ugh, the pig could probably go. That's kind of ugly, but the macaw's kind of cute though. The team collected more than photos. They also picked up tiger scat, or dropping, poopy. The scat contained hairs from animals the tiger had eaten. By examining the hairs, the scientists could identify the tiger's prey. The scientists then knew what the tigers were eating. Ooh, that sounds like a stinky job to me. The scat revealed that Sumatran tigers eat mostly wild pigs, deer, and monkeys called macaws. Now the scientists knew that in order to protect the tigers, they needed to protect the other animals too. Otherwise, the tigers wouldn't have enough to survive. Ding, ding, ding. If you guys are picking up a heavy food web, food chain, energy pyramid vibe here, you would be absolutely right. Jeez. Alrighty. Protecting tigers in their habitats mean tigers will continue to be born and live on Sumatra. Protecting tigers. For 10 years, the team set up camera traps. They collected 14,000 photos, including 435 photos of tigers. Excuse me. People of Sumatra are using this information to come up with ways to protect tigers. They are finding ways to protect tigers' prey and habitat. The scientists learned a lot about Sumatran tigers. They are still mysterious cats. Dr. Tilson said, "We never saw a tiger the whole time we were there." But his team had worked hard to uncover some of the tiger's secrets, making sure that Sumatran tigers will live on an island for years to come. So here's an acknowledgement. It's kind of like a thank you sort of thing. The writer and editors would like to thank Dr. Ron Tilson for sharing his story. He took time to answer many questions about the Sumatran Tiger Project. The details he supplied helped us imagine what camping in tiger territory was like. He also provided many of the photos for this book. That's kind of cool. Thank you. It's always good to when scientists kind of give back to students, and we can be able to use that information and read about the information in our classroom. Alrighty, so today, kind of a different thing. I would like for you to get on to Lexia. Get on Lexia right now and do 20 minutes of Lexia. Oh, wait. 1, 2, 3. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to wait 20 minutes and sit here. But you guys should get on Lexia, and you need to get 20 minutes. There are a few of you that have either already finished Lexia, so thank you for finishing that already. And I think we had one new student to our building who does not have to do Lexia because they weren't here through K through 4, so it wouldn't be fair. So make sure you guys jump on Lexia and get those 20 minutes done of Lexia. If you have any questions about that, let me know, but I'm pretty sure you guys are all very familiar with Lexia. ScoopPad. ScoopPad this week I want 40 points, 40 points, 40 points. 10 points for each day. That includes today, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We did a lot on Wednesday. I know I was out that day, so I asked a lot of you guys to do ScoopPad on Wednesday. So hopefully you guys knocked a lot of that out on Wednesday. Make sure you guys are doing 40 points of the LA ScoopPad on Wednesday. That's right, 40 points. I've talked to other teachers. I know some of the teachers are really pushing Zearn and ScoopPad. I'm going to kind of do half of what that. I'm doing a little bit what they want to do and a little bit what I want to do, but I still think ScoopPad, Lexia, and Zearn is still going to be very important. So I will continue to ask you guys to do those two. Now let's go to our assignment today for reading, which is comparing organization and quiz. So let's go into our Canvas page. Let's go into our reading page, and it's one little kid kind of reading very quickly back and forth. I wonder what I'll use next year for mine when we have back to in-person class. I don't know. Maybe I'll come up with a new picture. I do kind of like that picture though. Alrighty, so we're going to go to, I almost said December, April 23rd. Let's go to April 23rd. Scrolling on down, scrolling on down, scrolling on down, 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 down. Just see how many of these things I have opened up. And there it is, comparing organization. Alrighty, let's dive right into this. No reason to waste around. Compare and contrast. How are these two videos organized? Once you see how our articles are organized, you can compare and contrast them based on the organization. This is a way to help you decide which sources of information will be the most helpful to you, especially when you're working on a research project. As you watch these video segments, take notes about the way each one is organized. Then we're going to use a slideshow to learn the process for comparing and contrasting organizing styles. You will need to do this later in your lesson. Sorry, I'm going to sneeze, I think. Excuse me. Yeah, try to find maybe post-it note and piece of paper or whatever you have. It doesn't really matter. It's kind of a little something you can write on. Give you a second to find that. You can pause the video now to find that. And then resume the video here once you have that. So each video is going to be about, 2 minutes and 3 minutes long. So try to find those pieces of paper so that way you can compare and contrast these. So you're looking for how these videos are organized.
Carnivorous plants grow 4 main types of traps.
Venus flytrap.
The snap trap, the flypaper trap, the pitfall trap, and the suction trap. These traps all have the same job, and that is to catch prey. The Venus flytrap catches prey using a snap trap. The snap trap works by making rapid movements with its leaves. Inside the lobes of the trap are sensitive trigger hairs that react when the insect lands inside. Damon, a carnivorous plant expert, explains.
Normally, insects would be lured to the red color and a nectar that's produced on the inside of the trap. The insect will make a beeline for the inside of the trap and land, and when it touches one of the trigger hairs that you can see inside, there are 3 on either side. If it touches one of the hairs, it instantly closes and captures them. Once it's closed, you can see that the little hairs have made what looks like bars in a prison cell. It allows small insects like ants to escape, but holds on to yellow jackets and flies, big insects that are worth the time to digest.
It's a cool shirt.
The sundew and butterwort plants both use flypaper traps. Insects are drawn to the plant's sparkling droplets. Insects become coated in the plant's sticky goo and can't escape. Pitcher plants use the pitfall trap to catch prey. Prey is drawn to the plant's opening because of its sweet nectar and bright color.
So American pitcher plants, they produce a sweet nectar all along the lip and the underside of the lid. Eventually, as they lean farther and farther to eating the nectar, they topple on in and fall inside and can't get out.
Drown.
The bladderwort plant uses the suction trap. This underwater bladderwort catches prey inside its tiny sac. The sac pumps water out of its insides and then swallows a big gulp of water when prey swims by. This tadpole is trying to break free of the suction trap.
All right, that's video 1. So you should have a ways they organize that versus this one. Same idea, but a different organization.
This fly is caught in the jaws of the Venus flytrap. A carnivorous plant catches prey in its trap. But how does the plant digest its prey?
That is still cool though. Look
The
at that.
Venus flytrap digests the fly by releasing digestive enzymes that dissolve the insect's nutrients. All that is left is the insect's hard exoskeleton. Inside this tropical pitcher plant, A captured bug is floating inside the plant's digestive juices. Damon, a carnivorous plant expert, explains the process of digesting prey.
If you get in close here, you can see that they have a lid to keep the rainwater out. Where these plants grow, they get up to 17 feet of rain a year. And so you wouldn't get any digestion done if you let the water fill you up and wash out all your enzymes. And when the pitcher opens up, it's already full of liquid. It's not water. It's just like your stomach, digestive enzymes and acids.
A fly is drawn to the pitcher plant because of its red markings and sweet nectar. Its curiosity will get the insect into trouble.
Eventually, as they lean farther and farther to eating the nectar, they topple on in and fall inside and can't get out. Once they're trapped inside, the plant puts its acids and enzymes in there and starts to digest it just like your stomach does and break them down, pulling out the nutrients that they need.
Deep inside the pitcher plant, the fly slips on the plant's waxy walls. It cannot fly out because the space is too cramped to spread its wings. Like other prey, the fly will eventually drown in the plant's digestive juices. Damon performs a pitcher plant autopsy and cuts the plant open to see what it has digested.
Over the course of the summer, this will completely fill up with bugs. No matter how many you have, all of them will fill up with bugs. I'm just going to cut this open in what we call a pitcher autopsy.
That's crazy.
And we'll see what it's been eating.
Cut your finger, bro. Chee! All those animals, or all those
It's going
insects,
to be a gross one.
they fall on top.
You can see inside all the old insect parts. There's old moth wings
crazy.
in there,
That's crazy.
all the way down to the bottom.
Dang! I thought I ate a lot. Wow, that was kind of cool though. So, minus the obvious coolness of both of these videos, how are both these videos set up? How are they organized differently? And that's what we should have been taking notes on here. So, step one, we need to identify the structure of the first video. The first video describes 3 types of traps that are carnivorous plants. It uses this by using a specific plant to show you how. Identify the structure of the second video. The second video describes one step at a time what happens during the plant digestion. It does this by using a fly to illustrate what happens to the plant's prey. Decide how the structures of the video are alike, so that's like comparing them. Both videos use specific examples to illustrate the information they provide. Both videos also include an interview with a plant scientist, that guy with that cool shirt. The first video represents, decide how the structures are different. The first video, this is the contrast part, the first video presents 3 types of traps and then explains how each one works. The second video does not deal with the types. Instead, it shows the steps that happen in a process. The second video is chronological, which means it shows the events they actually happen in, the order they actually happen in. So science articles. The process for comparing scientific text is very similar to the process you use for comparing videos about the carnivorous plants. We're going to use a slideshow on this page to help you analyze some text from your science course. All right, I'll read this right here. Light energy is essential for all life on Earth to exist. All plants use light in a process called photosynthesis. During photosynthesis, plants make food for themselves by combining carbon dioxide and water with energy from the sun. We, along with almost all the animals, depend on plants directly or indirectly for our energy. Without light energy, we wouldn't be here either. Light may seem to go wherever it wants, but light has rules to follow. First, light travels in a straight line. Second, when the light beams travels from one medium to another, it bends or refracts. Glasses of water, magnifying glasses, camera lenses, even your eyes can bend or refract light. Rainbows are the result of refraction. So identify the structure of the first paragraph. The first paragraph is set up to explain something that is true and why a light is essential on Earth for all things. Second one is that follows the list of rules, that chronological events, that 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. It just kind of goes in those orders. It goes in that order, described by how they are alike. Both paragraphs begin with a short, direct topic sentence. With this topic sentence here and topic sentence here. Oh, no, not that whole thing, but that right there. So topic sentences are very similar in both of them. How the structures are different. The first paragraph shows the steps that prove something is true, while the second paragraph lists laws that belong in a group of things. Laws that a light must follow. Comparing structures. How are these articles organized? The 2 articles below are published by different U.S. government agencies. The first article is "The GLA's is Half Full, Satellites in Changing Tropical Forests," was produced by the United States Department of Agriculture, the USDA. The second article, "Climate Change and Ecosystem," was published by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA. Both articles are related to the effects of climate change, but they use very different structures to deliver the information. So if you guys click onto these, you guys will be able to see the articles. Okay? Here's article 1. Slowly scroll through. And then, I'm going to sneeze, I think. All the way down here. That's article 1. I love the charts, the tables, pictures, and graphs. Remember how important the captions are. And so that's article 1. And the climate change system. We're considered article 2. Again, great pictures. Very straightforward. You can see even some differences. It's got some graphs in this one. I don't believe the other one had a graph in it. So those are the 2 articles when you compare and contrast those. Ow, 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 ow. After you finish filling out your worksheet, oops, I forgot to click the worksheet. What am I doing? Here is the worksheet, the activity. They call it a worksheet, whatever, you have it. This is where you're comparing and contrasting. So this is the GLA, the first article, and this is the second article. And here are your questions. How many sections does this article have in this one? How many subheadings are? So the list of subheadings. And what kinds of illustrations used in each article. So there's more illustration, there's more graph, kind of giving that one away a little bit. Describe the purpose of each section of climate and change ecosystems, okay? And that is the second one. And then this is the first article, GLA's is half full. Again, section title and purpose of each one, okay? After you do that, okay, hit pause. I'm going to reveal some of the answers here. So hit pause, and this is basically kind of what you should have. You can see here, this is for the GLA half full, and this is for the climate change, okay? 8 sections for 7 sections. Here are the section titles, here are the section titles. Here are the types of illustration, and here's the type of illustration, this one. Here are the section titles, but then what's the purpose of each one of those titles? What happens in each of those little paragraphs there? Again, here are the section titles and what each one of those paragraphs are about, okay? Here are some ways that they're alike. Both have sections with subheadings. Both use illustrations to help readers understand the articles, and how the 2 articles differ. Each section have a different purpose. One article uses a section to show how the climate change is expected to affect a different natural area or event. The other article uses a section to describe a different part of single research project related to climate change. One article provides many examples of how climate changes the Earth. The other article describes one research project in very great detail. Alrighty. So, that takes you guys to your quiz. Oh, sorry, this is not it. That's something that we were going to consider doing, but we decided not to. It's called Comparing and Organization Quiz, and that is due today at the end of class. Alrighty, so our next thing that we're going to do actually is going to be Mystery Science number 26. So I'm actually going to open up a new Canvas page. I'm going to go into here. I'm going to move my face over here so that way I can get more access to it, because it'll block it if I'm over on the left side. Sometimes it blocks it on the right side. It just, always seems to be in the way when you don't want it to in the way. So let me go to number 26, which is, now you can see it, due April 23rd, which is today. So the first thing I want you guys to think about, do you think you could be invisible? Put that in the discussion box. If you could become invisible for a day, what would you do? I'm curious. I'm interested to find out. What would you do if you knew you could be invisible just for one day only? What were some things that you would do? And let's watch the video that goes with it. Answer the questions first, and then we can watch the video. Put the answers into the discussion board post. I love reading those, and you guys responding to each other. I think it's kind of fun. So, mini mystery science. Is it possible to become invisible? Oh, I gotta do this first. Give me a second. And bam.
Hi, it's Doug. When I was growing up, one of my favorite all-time TV shows was a show called Star Trek. It's a show about the future, and I loved how it was full of inventions that don't exist in real life. At least, not yet. This is one of my favorite ideas. It's called a cloaking device. Watch what it does.
This is a cool device.
A cloaking device can make things like an entire spaceship completely invisible. So cool. Someone named Brennan has a question about invisibility. Let's give Brennan a call now.
Hi, Doug.
Hi, Brennan.
I have a question for you. Is it impossible to be invisible?
That's a great question. People have imagined the idea of invisibility for a long time. Like the movie makers who gave Harry Potter his cloak of
Yo, that's
invisibility.
awesome.
Or Bilbo Baggins' magic ring in The Hobbit. Even Lego Batman uses the power of
Y'all need
invisibility
watch
to
the
sneak up
movies
on
if you haven't
bad
seen those
guys.
two.
Being invisible would
Lord of the
be
Rings,
so fun.
Harry Potter.
Just think about it. You could play pranks on your friends. You could always win games of hide and seek. And you'd totally be able to surprise people at surprise birthday parties. Before I say anything more, I'm curious. What fun things would you do if you could be invisible? Now would be a good time to pause the video and discuss.
Go ahead and put that in the discussion board post.
Okay, you ready? I wish I could hear all of your answers. You probably thought of lots of fun things you could do if you could make yourself invisible. I mean, just imagine being able to have the type of invisibility where someone standing right in front of you can't see you. That'd be pretty amazing. Like, imagine you could just press a button or put on a cloak and poof, disappear. But what kind of technology could make that possible? Is there even such a thing? It seems like if there were, that would be a really hard thing to invent. One thing we can do that's a lot easier is something more like this. We could use camouflage. This is more like a way of tricking someone or something into thinking that we're invisible. Like, look closely at how this wildlife photographer is dressed. You see how he's wearing white clothes to match the
That
snow?
makes sense.
Now, up close, he's definitely not invisible like Harry Potter. But to animals who aren't paying close attention, he seems invisible because he's blending in with the snow around him. That's what camouflage is. It's looking like the background, the land or the plants around you, to blend in. It works really well. The animals he's trying to take pictures of won't even know he's there. And wearing different colored clothes to look like the things around you isn't even the only way to seem invisible. You see these emperor penguins? They're scared of people, like really scared. So when scientists in Antarctica wanted to study them, they could never get up close without sending them into a panic. Scientists would have loved to be invisible, but instead they decided to trick the penguins into not seeing them. How? Meet the robo-penguin. By using this robot to blend in, scientists were able to sneak into this huge colony of penguins without ever being seen. And the pictures and videos they got were amazing. They even got videos of penguins laying eggs. And it's not only humans who use camouflage to become invisible and sneak up on something. Animals use this trick too. Check out this orchid mantis. Wait, where is it?
Got him!
Ah, there it is. An orchid mantis looks just like all the orchid flowers growing where it lives. Unless you look really closely, you can't even tell it's there. When a butterfly or moth lands nearby, the orchid mantis can sneak up and snatch it without ever being seen.
Got him!
Now, not all animals try to become invisible to sneak up on other animals. Some try to become invisible because they just want to be left alone. Like this cuttlefish, a relative of the octopus. Notice how its skin just changed? Cuttlefish are masters of invisibility tricks. Not only are they able to change the color of their skin to blend in where they're swimming, they can actually change the patterns on their skin. And that's not all. They can even change how bumpy their skin is. Like if they're swimming around bumpy rocks. Doesn't it look just like these rocks?
That's neat.
Invisibility tricks like these work really well, but they're still just tricks that fool animals who aren't paying close attention.
No.
So what about real invisibility? You know, like the kind of invisibility where you're standing right in front of someone and they can't see you. Is that kind of invisibility possible? Well, even though it is hard, scientists have made some interesting new discoveries, and it all has to do with light. We're able to see things like toys and tables and books because light is shining on them. And when there's no light, you can't see them anymore. Part of what's so hard about making something invisible is that actual invisibility would mean light would be able to pass right through you. That may never be possible. But what if we invent something that stops light from shining on objects? Something that makes light go around them? Then those objects would become invisible, right? Up until now, no one's figured out how to do this with everyday light. They've only been able to bend special light in a lab, and only on a pretty small level. But at least one inventor has figured out a trick that's kind of like getting light to bend around you. He invented panels of material made of tiny lenses that bring in light from the left and right side of an object. It's almost like camouflage, but using light. Watch this object disappear behind the material. It's pretty cool, right? Now, you can't really wear this material like an invisibility cloak yet. You would have to hold it up in front of you and stand really still. But it's the closest thing we might have to real invisibility. So in summary, real invisibility, like you see in the movies, hasn't been invented yet. But we can use tricks like using camouflage or bending light with lenses to make ourselves blend in with our surroundings. That's all for this week's question. Thanks, Brennan, for asking it. Now, after this video is done playing, my friends and I here at Mystery Science have created a special activity where you'll observe different ways animals make themselves seem invisible. Then you'll use what you learned to help you hide messages and challenge friends and family to try and find them. You can do this activity in a group or all by yourself. I hope you'll try it. Now, we'll be back with a new question in a couple of weeks. But in the meantime, here are some older questions from the question jar. You can vote on which one you think we should send out next week.
Alrighty, so obviously that's a pretty cool video there. Excuse me. Alright, so go ahead and put your answers in to the discussion board post. I'm very curious to see what you guys have to come up with for me to read. I'm curious. Okay, this actually takes us now to our science. It's a good way to blend into our science there by doing a mystery science. Let's actually do our science lesson for today. Let's see. Let's get to science. Bill Nye the Science Guy. And move my face over here now. And scroll on down to April 23rd. And April 23rd, that's 30, 20. There it is. Green algae and bryophytes. Alrighty. So, let's go ahead and get started on that. We don't actually not going to do that very first page. We're going to start with the types of plants. So the 4 types of plants, usually listed as bryophytes, ferns, gymnosperms, and angiosperms. However, these are only on land plants. There are several thousand species of green algae that live in either fresh or salt water. Many lists now include them as plants. After a brief look at the algae in this lesson, we will focus on land plants. Bryophytes or mosses are the simple, most basic group. Ferns and fern allies are next most complicated. Gymnosperms, plants with naked seeds, are next. You know them as evergreens or coniferous. Finally, there are the flowering plants, which should be coming up, and hopefully they didn't get frozen over on, Tuesday to Wednesday night? What is Chlorophyta? Chlorophyta usually comes in the green algae, just called green algae, because that's what they are. Members of this phylum are very diverse. Some of them are single cells, while others are multicellular. There are more than 7,000 species in this group of plants. One species of green algae is known as the Volvox aureus. That means they thrive in aquatic environments of lakes, ponds, and even ditches that contain water. Some species live in algae colonies. Some live as individuals. According to many botanists, what makes them plants, however, is what they all call as chlorophyta have in common: a cell wall, a nucleus, a membrane, chloroplast, and chlorophyll. They are autotrophs. This means they perform photosynthesis to make food for themselves. Chlorophyta usually reproduce sexually, sometimes in ways similar to mosses, but also reproduce asexually. Green algae, chlorophyta. What are chlorophyta? Chlorophyta is a division of green algae, includes the closest relatives of embryophytes, or land plants. Some charophytes, such as the common stonewort, Dacara vulgus, are found in a variety of places. Others are quite rare, so that's what we're looking at right here. Almost looks like a gummy worm, but like a gummy plant. Charophyta are commonly called stoneworts. Most of these species of charophyta are found in fresh water. They have root-like structures called rhizoids, or that are anchor them to the mud or sand or still or slow-moving water. Like land plants, their cells have a cell wall, a nucleus and a membrane, chloroplast and chlorophyll. They are autotrophs. They make their own food. They undergo sexual reproduction, similar to the way that mosses do on land. All right, so this is kind of like that quick self-check. I want you guys to pause the video right now and go ahead and do the self-check. And I'm going to reveal the video. I'll reveal here in 3, and 2, and 1. So what is the usual manner of reproduction among chlorophyta and charophyta? It's usually sexual reproduction, sometimes in ways similar to mosses. What is the characteristics of green algae that indicates they are related to land plants? Chloroplast and chlorophyll, cell wall, and cell nucleus membrane. Without those things, they would not be similar to those on land. True or false? Many charophyte species live in fresh water. Bing, 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 bing. If you said true, you were right. Plant reproduction in general. Plant reproduction differs from animal reproduction because of something called alternation of generations. What do you even think that is? In animals, sexual reproduction, each parent makes a sex cell, an egg, and a sperm that unite to form the offspring, a kid, a baby, or a cub, or a panda, a cub, or little fish. I'm just trying to think of little tadpoles, any of those things. What's unique to plant that is that those sex cells are produced in a stage between the adult and the offspring. The stage in extra generation in the cycle is viewed in that way. Plant reproductive cycle is what's called alternation of generation. Plant life cycle is different that of animal cycles because of this alternation of generations. And even though the cycle of generation looks different in different groups, the pattern always has the same. A spore producing generation, so this is like a spore, those little dandelions that dry up, little seeds, followed by sex cell producing generation, which is followed by another spore producing a generation. So it's this guy is creating one, and then this seed lands and then produces another one, then a whole bunch of those produce another one, continues on and on and on. Plants, mosses, liverworts, and orangeworts, biophytes. What are biophytes? Traditionally, the term biophytes refers to 3 groups of plants. No vascular system. We have a vascular system. Our vascular system are those veins that run in our body. Sometimes we can see them in our arms and our legs that are blue. In recent years, the genetic and other types of research have led scientists to consider each of these groups as separate from the other 2. However, for this lesson, we will consider them together. So most biophytes need water to help them reproduce. So some live in shady, moist, and humid areas. Some live in tropical rainforests. Others have adapted, though, to survive in deserts. And others still live in cold Arctic tundra. Although biophytes grow mostly in any available habitat, they are never very tall. They lack cells and tissues that conduct water, minerals, and sugar throughout the plants. We'll watch this video to learn a little bit more about the 4 groups of biophytes.
The first group of plants is the bryophytes. And the most common members of the group are mosses. The next time you're walking through the woods, take a closer look at what's on the ground. There's a good chance you've walked over a bed of moss at one time or another. Because they are very small, mosses are easily overlooked, and they look more like a fuzzy green carpet than a clump of thousands of individual moss plants. From a human perspective, mosses may all look the same, but there are 14,000 different species, and a closer look at these petite plants reveals their complexities. Mosses lack a vascular system and true roots, stems, and leaves. A vascular system transports water and nutrients throughout the plant, and mosses lack this ability. Without a vascular
like seeing
system,
trees like that.
mosses cannot get water to tissues that are very far from the ground. Mosses have root-like structures called rhizoids that help anchor them in the ground. Unlike the true roots of vascular plants, rhizoids are only one cell thick. Mosses have non-vascular leaves. When they reproduce, mosses produce a stem-like stalk called a seta. At the end of the seta is the capsule, which contains the spores for reproduction.
Mosses need a thin film of water to reproduce. That's why you'll find mosses primarily on the ground or on the trunks of trees or on a wall, wherever there's a thin film of water.
One of the more well-known types of moss is sphagnum, also known as peat moss. Sphagnum grows in wet, marshy areas, and it occupies more than 1% of the Earth's surface. That means that sphagnum covers an area equal to about half of the United States.
It's neat.
Gardeners use sphagnum to retain moisture in soil. It is also a major source of fuel in countries such as Ireland, Scotland, and Russia.
I didn't know that last part. I know that you do find them in gardens a lot. So if you do research on these plants, you might find them listed as bryophytes. You might find that bryophytes applies to only mosses. Liverworts may be marchantiophytes, and hornworts may be anthraceophytes. Don't worry, we won't use those names. However, you may find these plants as classified as have interesting reproductive cycles. The key is that they all exhibit the alternation of generation characteristic. Each group, as you would expect, carries out the cycle slightly different in a way. However, the haploid gametophyte stage is a dominant and common form of all three stages. In this stage, you'll probably see which forest plant that are available. Watch this video to learn a little bit more about it.
Bryophytes have developed a unique method of reproduction. While it works on land, it still depends on the availability of water in order for the reproduction cycle to be completed. Two major structural adaptations by the bryophytes that facilitate terrestrial reproduction are the archegonia, in which eggs develop, and the antheridia, in which sperms develop. These two enclosed reproductive structures provide a moist environment that prevents the male and female gametes from drying out and dying. Depending on the species, any particular plant may have one or both antheridium and archegonium structures. In all bryophytes, the sperm produced in the antheridium must swim to the egg, which remains in the archegonium. It must travel through a film of water. The sperm are led to the egg by a chemical attractant released by the egg into the film of water. Even in dry areas, bryophytes are adapted to time the reproductive activities to coincide with infrequent rains. The fertilized egg, or embryo, remains in the archegonium until it matures into a small diploid sporophyte plant that remains attached to the parent haploid gametophyte plant. The sporophyte plant matures to form a capsule containing spores, which are eventually liberated into the wind. If the release spore...
All right. Basically kind of ends right there. So this is a self-check. So go ahead and pause the video here as I reveal the answers, and pausing and restarting in 3, 2, 1. What is the most common member of this group of plants, the bryophytes? Moss. Any type of moss you see is a bryophyte. What is the capsule on the seta contain? Spores. It's the reproductive. It's the spores. What is the name of the first generation? What is the name of a first generation moss? This is called a gametophyte. And that takes you guys to your quiz. And here's your quiz. 4 questions called the Green Algae Quiz. Alrighty, so that means you guys have done on your own. Lexia 20 minutes. You've done on your own to make sure you have 40 points in the LA Scoop Pad. We talked about comparing organization quiz. We talked about the mini mystery science number 26. And then we did the green algae quiz. So that takes us to our afternoon. Let's go on over to our afternoon. I'll move my face again. Going over to our afternoon. In the afternoon, we're going to start off... Ow. I think I hurt myself. We're going to start off with doing some application of volume, because on Monday, we're going to be starting our project. So make sure that you guys have your blue folders with you on Monday. Remember the papers that I gave you, all these instructions and all these extra pages. I think it's actually ended up being around 32 pages, so make sure you have all those with you. You will need those on Monday. Also on Monday, you need some, well, I guess you don't, no you will. You will need tape on Monday. Any type of coloring utensil you have, whether it's crayon, marker, colored pencil. I prefer colored pencil, but you do you choose what you like. But also you will need some scissors on Monday for our lesson. So make sure you have those things. But let's talk about our lesson today. Our lesson today is math, and it's about kind of wrapping up our volume, and then we're going to do a project with the volume on Monday. Also area as well. So if you got volume, you can do area. So that's kind of why we kind of just blend those two together in a way. So let's go to April 23rd. Applications of volume. So application means like how can you apply it to real life? Why is this important? Well, it is. You use it quite a bit actually in real life. So you can think of like I don't know when we ever need calculate volume in the real world. Well, you can think of you come up with think cement slab. So have you ever seen a cement mixer go on the road? Those big old trucks looks like that, Hong Kong. Or perhaps you ever seen one at a construction site. Cement is poured in often rectangular prisms called slabs. It is very important that you know the volume of a slab is known so that cement does not spill over. This is one of the many situations you know in the real world. Like someone says, go get 2 gallons of milk. Well, you know that you need to get 2 jugs of milk. Or someone says, get a half gallon. You know to get a half gallon. Again, volume. So we're going to do the quick review of volume here. So find the rectangular prism and length equal to 35, height 23, and 15. So 35 times 23 times 15. And you get your answer of 12,075. Check. We'll say we got it right. Again, another rectangular prism, 12 feet, 20 feet, 7 feet. 12 times 20 times 7. And 12 times 20 times 7. Oh, no. I hit the wrong button. And then find the volume of the rectangular prism, 3.5, 2, and 1.5. And there you go. So let's say we got that one right, 10.5. Maybe it'll take me back. Oh, it didn't let me take me back, but it's okay. Wait, review. Next. This is it. There you go. It's 1680. Remember, feet cubed. Don't forget the little cubey part, okay? The cubey part. Don't forget that. The cubey part. So volume of cement slabs. Let's go back to a cement slab example. We can figure out the volume of a particular cement slab by calculating the volume of a rectangular prism. Suppose a construction company is going to need to fill 100 cement slabs for a job. The cement slabs are shipped like this. Rectangular prisms into following dimensions. 2.3 yards by 4 yards by 1.1 yard. The best way that you guys might even use this now is mulching. You can find how much mulch do you need to put in at your apartment, or how much mulch you need to put at your grandma's house. How much mulch would you need? And a great way to figure that out is just knowing how deep you want the mulch, how long you want the mulch, and the width of the mulch or the bed. And then I'll tell you how much mulch you need. So that way you don't buy 20 bags, but you need 30 bags. Or that way you don't buy 20 bags, and you only need 10 bags, you know? So that sort of thing. The company needs all you know about cement to fill 100 slabs. To help the company out, let's first concentrate on the job of the slab. Remember, the volume of the slab in space is a 3D object. We want to know how much of cement is needed, so we need to calculate the slab's volume. Length times width times height. 4 times 1.1 times 2.3 is 10.12 yard cubed. So we know the company needs to fill 100 of these slabs. Therefore, the total volume is 100 slabs times 10.12 yards cubed. So that's 1,012 yards cubed of concrete or mulch or whatever you're doing right now. So I know we keep practicing these, but again, let's practice these guys. So here's your box, 3 feet by 2 feet by 4 feet. So how many of those would take to get 50 bucks? So 3 times 2 is 6, 6 times 2 is 24. What is the total volume of all 50 boxes? So you would take that times 50, which would give you about 1,200 cubic feet. Because 23 times 2 times 4 is 24, and you multiply it by the 50 boxes. The Great Pyramids of Giza. You guys know these things. The Great Pyramids. Great Pyramids of Giza. You guys know these pyramids, right? There it is, the Great Pyramid of Giza. What a lot of people don't know, if you flip this camera going around the other way, you will see a city. I probably won't show it. Let's see here. There it is. So you can see, this is the city that's all around it. But if you take the picture facing the other way, it looks like it's a complete desert. No, there's a big, huge city there. So that was kind of cool to see. Well, anyway, let's talk about that. So the Great Pyramids of Giza, 4 feet by 3 feet by 2.5 feet. So 4 times 3 is 12, and by 2 times 2.5 is 30 feet. And we want 150 blocks for that. So that's 4,500 feet cubed. So that takes you guys to your application quiz, which is only 3 points. And again, we will be building our own city and finding our own cubes physically and counting up all of that starting on Monday. It should be a pretty fun project. Again, we'll do the whole project ourselves. Don't worry about doing any of it on your own. We'll do it all within class. That'll be our classwork for the day. Sorry, my nose is getting a little runny. All right, let's go and take a look. Wrong thing, that's the studio. Let's get to our brain pop for today, and that is water safety. Let's go to Clever. Many of us, or maybe some of us, will start going out on boats here pretty soon. Whether it's here locally in Delaware or out of state, we need to kind of make sure that we're understanding what are some safe things we do on boats. Some of you guys are excellent boaters. You've been doing boating for a long time. You know what you're doing. Some of us a little more novice or new to it. So although maybe some of us are this is new information, some of it may just simply be a refresher. But it's important to talk about water safety. This is usually something that we talk about on a field trip. But now I guess has been canceled 2 years in a row. It's called safety scenes. They usually have at the fairgrounds. But here we'll try to hit on some of those topics that we did that we usually get that we can do here. Also, other types of water safety goes obviously beyond being on a boat, on a beach, whether you're in a pool or whether you're in the ocean. Swimming is a great way and fun way to beat the heat. But before dipping your toes into that water, make sure you know how to be safe. Okay, so here are some ways that you can be safe in the water. Nobody's seen Baywatch, but your parents will get this joke. I definitely get it. It's actually pretty funny.
I wasn't goofing off. I was visualizing. Dear Cassie and Moby, we just got new bathing suits and we can't wait to spend the summer swimming. Anything we should know before we dive in? Thanks, Dakota and Noah. Lucky for you guys, I already put sunscreen on and reapplied. Now, where was I? Oh, lucky for you guys, I'm enrolled in a junior lifeguard course. So I can tell you all about how swimming is super fun and great exercise and helps beat the heat and...
Is it Adult Swim? As a kid, I hated Adult Swim.
Aye,
Now
Captain.
I love Adult
Safety
Swim.
first. First off, you gotta know how to swim.
Whoop.
The Red Cross and a bunch of other places offer lessons. If you can swim, it's still best to do it in places with lifeguards. Anyone can get in trouble, even pros. At backyard pools, make sure to tell a grown-up to watch you. And if you're still learning, stick to the shallow end and use support. Right. By support, I meant a life jacket. It should fit snug as a bug, no riding up over the chin. Your parents can help you figure out if you need to wear one. Those bots know swimming isn't a solo sport. They're following the buddy system. Pair up with a pal who's at about the same level and stick together. Keep an eye on each other, so if one of you is in trouble, the other can help, or alert a guard. Swimming during a thunderstorm is super dangerous. Lightning is attracted to bodies of water, which means you could end up seriously hurt. Go inside and stay there for at least 30 minutes after the last thunderclap. Wait, we're just gonna leave them in there? Oof.
Some of you guys might go to the beach this year.
Ah, well, hello, sparkling sea. The beach certainly has its unique challenges. I meant ocean conditions. Know what you're in for by checking the color of the warning flag. Red means most hazardous, so no swimming. Yellow means rough conditions, so strong swimmers only, and use caution. Green is safest. But the ocean can be unpredictable on any day. Same as anywhere else you swim, pay attention to the lifeguards. And follow the same safety precautions that I talked about back at the pool. First, stay in designated swim areas close to the shore. Even experienced swimmers can sometimes get tired, especially if the surf is strong that day. Jumping waves is my favorite, but you have to stay alert. If one's about to break on top of you, dive under it. You want to go far down enough to avoid all that tumbling water. And keep your arms out to protect your neck. For smaller waves, you don't need to dive under. With anything below waist level, just crouch down until it passes. At beaches with a steep drop, you may feel a strong backwash. That's when the waves break and rush back out to sea. All that water pulls things along with it, including swimmers. If you ever feel like the waves or backwash are too strong, head to shore. And if you're too tired to make it in, wave to a lifeguard. That's what they're there for. They'll blow their whistles when they see you. Then you can save your strength and tread water till they get there. Oh, right. At certain beaches, you'll see signs warning about rip currents. That's when backwash gets forced into deep channels between waves. The effect is much stronger than ordinary backwash. Rip currents are tough to spot, and getting caught in one can be scary. Fighting against it will just tire you out. The most important rule when you're stuck inside a rip is to stay calm. If you're feeling strong, swim across the current until you're out of it. Then you can swim back into shore. If you're feeling tired, raise your hand to alert a guard. Then tread water until help arrives. Righto! If you see someone who needs help, call a lifeguard or another adult. If there's someone else nearby, tell them to call 911. Meanwhile, you can try to help the swimmer from the shore. You don't want to jump in after them, or you might end up in trouble too. So, if they're close, brace yourself and reach out a long item to pull them in. If they're farther away, toss them something that floats. Once they're back on land, they may need CPR to get them breathing again. All lifeguards know how to do CPR. But you can get certified in it yourself as early as age 9. You can also train to be a junior lifeguard, like me.
A lot of babysitters will do
So,
that,
Moby, how'd I do? And when do I get my whistle? It's my honor to be the valedictorian of this year's junior lifeguard class. I want to thank Crusher and Little Jimmy. Never could have done it without you guys. Whoa! The golden whistle of Poseidon!
No! Got him! Those are always funny. Those are always good. Alrighty. So obviously I want you guys to be safe all summer long, whether you're going to a beach, whether you're going to Mingo, or you're going to a friend's backyard pool. It is very important to be safe all the time. And those are some great safety tips that they gave you in that video. One thing else I want to point out is Scoop Pad. I need you to have 40 points in Math Scoop Pad. We got a lot done on Tuesday. I asked you guys to get some done on Wednesday when I was out, so you guys should have some done there. Then on Thursday as well, and then plus today, you should be all caught up on Scoop Pad. 40 points, please, this week in Scoop Pad. Just takes us to our final lesson, which is social studies. And we got a couple more states here that we want to talk about. Excuse me. There's social studies. Let's go all the way down to our states. And this is setting up a perfect state. project that we will eventually do. But first, we got to learn about the states together first. And there they are. Kentucky and Tennessee. Kentucky and Tennessee. Alrighty. I wonder if anybody in this group has been to either one of them. I think Dan, maybe it was West Virginia. Danny said she went to. But Kentucky and Tennessee are south of us, obviously, and maybe some of us have been there, maybe for whatever reason. So the next state we're going to talk about is Kentucky. Obviously, I've been to Kentucky many times because I lived in Cincinnati. And Cincinnati, Kentucky are very closely situated by each other, so it was very common for us to go over to Kentucky or, play baseball, play football, basketball, or come back over to the other side and do the same thing in Ohio. I had family members that live in Kentucky. I had family members who just moved to Kentucky this week. Actually, my sister did. She moved back from Chicago to Kentucky, so it's very common to have family there if you're from Ohio, especially southwest Ohio, not southeast, southwest Ohio. Well, anyway, enough about me. Let's learn about Kentucky.
Kentucky is our 37th largest state and is located in the southern region. It is surrounded by Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, West Virginia, Tennessee, and Missouri. The most well-known area of Kentucky is the bluegrass region. The land is low and flat, and the grass produces small, abundant blue flowers, giving it its name. To the west of this region is farmland, and to the east are the Appalachian Mountains. Here you can find the state's highest point, Black Mountain, at more than 4,000 feet above sea level. Underneath the state's farmland lies a bed of limestone, which rainwater and erosion have turned into a network of caverns. One of them, Mammoth Cave, is the longest known cave system in the world.
Mom and Dad,
348 miles of it have been explored and mapped, including an underground river.
48
Kentucky,
miles.
a unique part of the American
48
landscape.
miles of caves. It has a river. It's so cool to go. You see stalactites and stalagmites. Stalagmites are the ones that grow up from the ground. Stalactites are the ones that grow straight down. They are super, super cool. I highly encourage you to go there sometime. It's not that far away. I guess I'm thinking Cincinnati, not far. Cincinnati, it's a little bit of a drive from Columbus, but I think it's definitely worth it if you guys are looking at things to do over the summer. A lot of people get this wrong. We ask, what is the capital of Kentucky? A lot of people say, well, it's Lexington because the UK, University of Kentucky, or some people say it's Louisville because of University of Louisville, but it's neither one. It's actually called Frankfort, and that is the capital of the bluegrass state, Kentucky. As we move south, we come to the east and central region of the United States. In this part of the country are the three states: Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, and Alabama. Kentucky was the 15th state to join the Union. So you got to think about that. There's 13 original ones, and then they are the 15th. So pretty around a pretty long time. The birthplace of one of the most famous presidents, of course, is Abraham Lincoln. Kentucky is also home to a major horse race called the Kentucky Derby, which actually should be in the running this year, and we're not too far away off from Derby Day. Derby Day is a big time. I know we have many friends that went there, been there several times. It is a cool event. It's one of the world-class events that if you get old enough to go, you should check it out. It's a horse race. There is a rich tradition of horse racing in Kentucky that actually began in 1789 when the first race course was laid out in the city of Lexington. The race was sometimes called the greatest 2 minutes in sports. That's because it takes about 2 minutes for the horses to go around once. But there's a lot of other fun things to do other than the race. It's always run at Churchill Downs since 1875, which is a very cool event and location. 100,000 people come. We're talking about in the grandstands. It's kind of like I'm dropping the name. I just said it earlier in the video. It's kind of like the Delaware Fairgrounds, but crazy, much bigger, much taller, more stands, and then you have the infield, which is even kind of crazier event in the middle. So 100,000 people come to watch the race. The fun begins with a festival that starts 2 weeks before the race. Kentucky also has other cool state parks, including Cumberland Gap. It's a national park, actually. So some of you guys may go down to the Cumberland Gap National Historical Park. Fort Knox. You guys want to know where all of our gold is in our country? Supposedly, it's in Fort Knox. So if someone says, your house is locked up tighter in Fort Knox, that's because there really is a Fort Knox. The Fort Knox is in Kentucky. Fort Boonesborough State Park, Fort Campbell Memorial Park, Fort Duffield, and Old Fort Herod State Park. I also like Kentucky Lake. Kentucky Lake is also very nice. I know it's not listed in there. Daniel Boone State Park. There's all kinds of great parks. So if you're looking for a great place to go, another one just across the border of Cincinnati in Kentucky is called Devou Park, Devou. It's a big hill and it looks down upon the city of Cincinnati. It is a beautiful place to go. Cool park. A lot of people have weddings there. All kinds of cool events that you can do there. Tennessee. You're the only 10 I see. Haha, Tennessee. Tennessee's become very popular lately, especially Nashville, also colloquially, I can't say that word, just among the cool kids. The cool kids like to call it Nash Vegas. You have Vegas, out west. Here on the East Coast, we have Nashville, sometimes called Nash Vegas. I really enjoy Nashville. They have like the cool kind of party side, which is like the west side of Nashville. A lot of country bars and country western restaurants. A lot of recording studios. So if you're into country music, like that is the place to be. It is really cool on the west side. Over on the east side is where I like to kind of go. It's a little bit more chill than the west side, but it's really cool. And obviously, a great place to ride your bike, and this is why I go down there to ride. Anyway, south of Kentucky is Tennessee. Nashville is the state capital and was home of Alice Williamson. You might have read some of her diary as you studied the Civil War earlier in this course. Nashville is also an important country music center. It is the home of the Grand Ole Opry. A live radio program has been running for 75 years. The Opry's current location is the Grand Ole Opry, a space that seats more than 4,000 people. Hundreds of country and bluegrass stars have performed there, and that is no joke. I mean, sometimes you can walk into a regular restaurant or bar or whatever, and someone will be playing music. 2 or 3 years later, they'll be on some music radio station where we're here in Columbus, because that's how they made it famous there. Nashville has also been an important state historically. Some of the significant events in the civil rights movement occurred in Nashville, such as in 1960 when Reverend James Lawson led African American college students on a campaign to desegregate the city's downtown business district. At that time, blacks were not allowed to shop in the same stores as white, eat the same lunch counters, or even use the same drinking fountains. Yes, guys, there are still people in the 1960s that are still alive today, and that lived in a time and grew up in a time where they were not allowed to have the same restaurants, not allowed to have the same water fountains or the same laundromats or go to the same stores. Like, people still exist from that. It sounds like it's a long time ago, but it's not. It's still within our generation. There are still people walking around today that have lived in both segregated and desegregated society. Mrs. Barnes is one example that we had here in our class. Well, anyway, that takes us to Kentucky and Tennessee quiz. That is a 3-pointer. And actually, that's the last thing I got for you guys. So I'm going to do a quick recap and get you guys out of here. So, obviously, you guys need to do the comparing organization quiz. You guys should do the mini mystery science number 26. You guys should, discussion board post. You guys should do the green algae quiz. You have the applications of volume quiz. You have the Kentucky and Tennessee quiz. And last but not least, you guys should be receiving an email from me today listing your student ID number and any missing work that you have for me. Make sure you get all of that done. I'm going to keep pushing and pushing the missing work, so that way when the end of the school year comes, you're not doing work when school year's over trying to catch up. So I want to try to get all done and turned in before the end of the school year. Well, anyway, thanks for jumping on with me this Friday morning, Friday afternoon, or Friday evening. Whenever you jumped on with me is totally fine, as long as you jumped onto this video at least once today and completed your work. So I appreciate it, and you guys have a great Friday and rest of your weekend. And I will be meeting with some of you guys, about half of you guys today, in small groups. So if you want to request a small group meeting, I'm always available. I will make it work for you to help you be successful. So you have a great rest of your weekend.